I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm super thankful to got the invitation to talk here. And yes, indeed, my topic is future-proofing supply chain planning and everything which comes with that. And I'm excited to share more about that. And yes, I'm working as analytics lead at Picnic. I studied industrial engineering with mechanical engineering in Aachen and in Zurich, so I'm really happy to see some Swiss people here as well. So it was nice conversations yesterday evening about Switzerland, so really, really great. But yeah, now let's talk a bit more about Picnic and what we're doing there, which risk we are facing. Who knows Picnic? And some people have to put their hands up because I explained it yesterday evening. So wow, great. A lot of people know it. No, but honestly, I think we didn't really get into the details. So I'm also trying, as Jürgen, to do the stretch a bit between the company, but also explaining my topic well. So I will first give a short intro and then explain as well what we're going to talk about. So Picnic Technologies is an online supermarket. So you can imagine it like Rewe or Edeka, but just online. So you have the full assortment. And it all started with a nice milkman. And who knows the milkman? Yeah? Just one person? No, not that milkman. I mean, in general, who knows the concept of a milkman? Yeah? So, yeah, for everybody who does not know it, so basically, I think a couple of years back, but still in some countries I heard it's still a thing, so maybe not in Germany, but there's actually a person going around in circles and bringing milk or fresh products throughout the streets, and people can just buy it there. And that's the business model Picnic copy-pasted, but just extended it a bit, of course. It's not just about milk, but about basically every product you could find in a supermarket. And also our milkmans look a bit different now, as you can see on that nice picture here. So what do we actually try to do? So we try to put every day something new in the hands of our customers. So it does not just start with groceries, but we are also starting to bring recipes to the customer. And we just brought or came up with a meal planner. So with an AI-based solution, you can basically directly get your meals for the full week together, and you can put it all into a basket. And then luckily, you have your full order just in your basket for a full week, and you don't need to think about anything for what you will cook. But of course, having such a thing in the app, of course, also makes our supply chain quite complex, because it's different how we predict this, basically. But what is in every step of our supply chain is the people factor. And that's also what you introduced at the beginning, and which is super important for Picnic as well, is that, and we will have a look at the supply chain in the next step, but basically the three main steps, which I just want to highlight on a high level here, are our fulfillment centers, where our shoppers work, then distribution, so the last mile, where we actually deliver the order to our customers, which are our runners, and then in the last step, our customer success agents, so like call center agents. If something went wrong with your order, you can call them. And all of those people have to get a planning. And we're a company with more than 15,000 people now, so it's quite a thing to give everybody a plan when the person has to work. And let's have a look now at our supply chain. So how does the supply chain of a traditional supermarket look like? I guess everybody knows. I hope everybody knows. But just let's remind ourselves. So we have our producers on the left-hand side. So everybody, I don't know, who brings the bread, the fresh meat, and so on. Then we have our fulfillment or distribution centers where you actually store the different products. And then you have the different supermarkets. And then you have the consumers in the end, so everybody here who's going in their own cycle to a supermarket and getting, or maybe also as a family, but I mean not as a optimized route, getting to get their groceries. And I got asked yesterday, how is Picnic making money? Because you're an online supermarket, it's more basically more steps. But what we're trying to do is to eliminate the supermarket in between. So we have basically still our producers, so the people who bring the bread or the products. Then we still have our warehouses, And then high level said, we want to deliver an optimal route to our customers. So basically at 10 p.m. in the evening, you have to get your order for the next day done. So then Picnic is making an optimal route planning. So we are not going as a taxi forward and backward to the customer, but we're going in an optimized route. So that also makes it way more efficient for us to, also reduce costs, of course. And the first step are our fulfillment centers, which are, we have manual ones, but also automated ones. And why do I want to have a look at it is to explain you, of course, how it looks like, but also to understand a bit more about the people and that we have different roles in our supply chain. So here you can see, for example, a shopper, and she's now looking on her device, because on the device she gets the information what she actually has to put in her totes. So we say totes to those red boxes. And this person normally works long shifts, normally is also a person who has a fixed schedule or wants to have a fixed schedule and wants to know in advance when she has to work or he has to work, because it's, you just have to know it way earlier. Then we have the other person, and here you have a video of our automated fulfillment center, which already looks a bit different because the person before was going in circles, so it's quite, or a bit more interesting, I would say, compared to if you're standing in this automated fulfillment center where you just have to put the groceries from A to B, basically. This person is also working in longer shifts, and if everything basically got packed into those different totes, we put it in a frame, and then from our fulfillment center, what I just described at the beginning, we are going to the distribution center, so to our last mile from where we are delivering. And this is a nice picture of the last mile. And here you find our really cute vehicles. And has anybody seen them before, like the electric cars going around? Okay, the Swiss people not, obviously, we're not in Switzerland. Anyone else? No one has seen an EPV? Okay, where are you from? Okay, yeah, good. Oh, wow, now you have seen it, so that's great. So now you will probably, because we are already quite, we have quite some hubs already in NRW, but also northern Germany, so Berlin, Hamburg. In the south, we are not yet, but I guess this will come soon. And of course, in the Netherlands, we're quite present, and in France. But this is now a completely different person, because this person brings the groceries now to the customer. And this person normally has really short shifts, so like 2 to 3 hours. And this person also wants to be really flexible. So this person wants to, a week in advance, still adjust their schedule. Maybe it's a student who does not know yet when the person has to learn. So this is already a different kind of person which is working in our supply chain, just to already see a bit the differences within 2 different warehouses, what a challenge is for a company to make that work. Yes, coming to the next slide again, because I wanted to also give you a bit of facts on how many people are working in which step. And customer success is quite low. So customer success agents are just 2%, but fulfillment and distribution, so the runners and shoppers really make the big number of the people in our supply chain. And it's different compared to the companies we've heard before, I think. Not everybody, I guess, but we are hiring the people ourselves on our contracts. So this makes it really, really important to have those people, that those people are also happy. And that brings me also now to the risk, finally, after stepping through the supply chain of Picnic, because we have labor shortages in the European labor market, and this makes it, of course, harder to have enough people, especially if we go to a new city. We are always checking, can we actually also attract people who can deliver the order, or also who can pick the order together? Has anyone here as well problems with labor shortages? Or do you always find, you said from BMW, I guess, also same profile, I guess, what you're looking for in the production, I guess, or... Yeah, yeah. So I guess. Indeed. Indeed. So, and my task, what I was allowed to do in the past years at Picnic was basically to build up this capacity and planning team. So we are going to have a look a bit at what Picnic did to make this risk, to minimize this risk basically, and make sure that on the one hand side, of course, you have the shortages, but on the other hand, you also don't want to let the people go. So you want to have a good retention of the people, because otherwise you step into that problem again, you have shortages and so on. So let's have a look on one of the things we did of this full employee journey. So the journey starts, of course, with recruitment, then you have the planning part, then you actually work, you have the payments. But from this full employee journey, we're just going to look at the planning part now. And people planning is actually a balancing act. And I was long, really thinking about which picture I can choose here, because it was really hard to find a good one. But I mean, so from an employee perspective, you want to be super flexible. So yeah, as the person I just described, you want 1 week in advance to maybe still adjust your schedule. But on the other hand, you also as a business want to be efficient and cost efficient especially. So you don't want to allow everybody their own mind. You also have different demands which you have to cover. So you cannot just allow everybody that they can work whenever they want. So this is really a balancing act which we try to find a solution for. And here you can basically see the 3 different persons. So now from a really employee perspective, what they actually want. So on the one hand side, you have the super you really have flexibility, so you want to have no commitment, you want to be even a day in advance, you want to be able to adjust your shift. But on the other hand, you have people who really want to have income security. So they want to know in advance, I always get my money, I can really look forward that, I can have the money for my family. And then you have the people in between who want to have some shifts fixed, but on the other hand, also add additional shifts to that. So those are different concepts, and I think normally in a company you try to focus on one of the concepts. So I don't know how it is at BMW, but I talked to other big companies and they were sharing that a lot of people are more in this on the right hand side, where you have fixed but rotating schedules basically for the people based on the demand. And what Picnic took as a challenge was, okay, we have those different people and we want to give everybody the chance to work in a concept how they actually like it. But on the other hand, of course, you have our demand curve. And this is also a bit different compared to other companies where it's maybe not fluctuating so much. But what you can see on this overview is the normalized demand curve over the full year. And I try to highlight 2 points, which is one in the summer, where we really have a big dip. And then also in the winter, where you can see a peak again, so during Christmas. So now one of the concepts could be, of course, okay, I have my people until week 26. I let them all go in week 28. And I start the hiring process to have a lot of people in week 32. But this, of course, how can you recruit so many people in just 2 weeks? That, of course, doesn't work. So what we're trying to do is to have a bit on an average line, and that the people can work more and less, so that we can cover also with vacation and other things this demand curve. And now I want to explain this a bit in more detail. So first of all, a nice picture. So how do we actually do that now? So how is Picnic basically fulfilling Picnic's needs while also fulfilling the employee needs? But now we are looking into the 4 steps. And one step is the contract types with our balances. Who has that in their company as well? Anyone working with our balance systems or year-norm contracts? Yeah, okay, 2, 3 people I see. So this is really for us the game changer, because you have just seen this fluctuating demand curve. And what is now the concept? So you basically have, for example, I don't know, 15 contracted hours, but you have to have that over the year. So we are creating a bucket for you. So in 1 week, you can, for example, work 5 hours more, and in the other week, you can work 5 hours less. So on average, you are on those 15 hours. So we are always tracking the balance of them, and that helps us, of course, to in 1 week schedule those people more and the other less, so that we can make those demand fluctuations work. And we have that in all of our 3 countries, so in the Netherlands, Germany, and France, but just always with a different time period. So in Germany, it's, for example, a year, while in France, it's way shorter. But the concept is in all 3 countries similar. And then what we also came up with, we developed our own employee app in our company. So we created a front end where it was easy to mix and match those concepts for the different profiles I just described at the beginning. So people can actually mix and match and say, hey, I want to have those fixed schedules, but on the other hand, I also want to be super flexible. So what you can see here on the screens, and I don't want to go in detail into it, we can also discuss that later if someone is interested in it, but just to really highlight the main points is that for us it was super important that the person always sees their bucket, because when the person is not aware on the bucket and is just not working enough hours, for us it's really cost heavy, because the people are just working less than they should. And now we have a tracking system so that people can really see how many hours they've worked. But on the other hand, what you can also do is now you can fill in your availability. So we have an availability-based system, so people can fill in their availabilities and say when they want to work. And based on that, we are assigning those people. On top of that, we created our own market, so people can trade their shifts. So people can put their shift on a market. This is for the people who want to be a bit more flexible, and another person can take that shift basically over. Yes, as I said, we can discuss that in more detail also later, but summarized, we created for 2.5 years with a tech team together this big app, and it was a lot of work, but now we can really see that it brings quite some good input for us. And then on the other hand, we have a powerful back end to make that work. I heard Excel, Google Sheets, I think before a bit as well from other presentations. Before we were also working a lot with Google Sheets, but we now came up really with a system which we wrote in Java. And Marie's also here as an expert, so whoever wants to ask her about the algorithm, you can reach out to Marie later. But what was important for us is we need basically a system where you have constraints and operational rules which are configurable in the back end. So as an analyst, you should be able to easily configure that on a location basis, because it's really hard to make the same system for France, the Netherlands, and Germany. Already by labor laws, this is not possible. So we really needed to come up with a system which you can do and make configurable. Then, as I just already hyped Marie for, is the powerful algorithm, which is now working for all of our 3 departments and also in all countries. And without that, it wouldn't really work. And then it should also be easy to use for our local leadership. So we came up with this people planning console where a lot of developers were included as well, and really worked on making this nice overview where you can basically see if a person is absent, which shifts are open, which shifts you can assign to another person. And how many people do you think do we have for scheduling approximately 20,000 employees on a weekly basis? 5 people? How many people do you have in your company to schedule people or plan people for? A number? You don't know? Uncountable. Yeah. Yeah, so that's also what I heard. I also talked to a lot of other companies, and I really heard that normally the concept is that you have this local planning. So really the planners are in their locations, and then you have, as you said, multiple hundred people really doing week by week the planning, and you were quite close. So we are 6 planners. So that was a good guess with a 5, but I think this is already quite efficient, because when I started at Picnic, we were really still in a Google Sheet, by the way, as well, filling in for each person a 0 or a 1 for when that person has to work. And as you can think, we scaled up quite a lot in the past years. You would have needed to hire so many people to write those 0s and 1s into this Google Sheet for every week, for every shift, for every country. So it's quite a step up for us that this system is actually now working. There's still, of course, potential to improve it. But yeah, the numbers speak for themselves, of course. And now what comes next is that you have a lot of potential. I think Evonik was also here who developed, you also developed your own system, right? Within in-house, right? Was that? Not an employee app, but I mean also in-house developed an app. And I think with that, there's a lot of potential, because you can just come up with your own strategies and put them into this app. And it's not just on scheduling where you can come up, for example, with dynamic bonuses or a wait list. We also really want to make the next step. And as I'm now working also in the finance team, the next step is really important for me now as well, is that to really have clear insights in our payables for the person. So we want to get away from this just scheduling app and make the full employee journey into this app and the manager view, which I just saw. And then in the end, we also want to come up with nice engagement via the app, some fun facts. You can easily put feedback after shift. How did you like this shift? And yeah, this is basically it about the app and how we came up with the labor shortages. So maybe the key learnings for us were that in general, those advanced scheduling solutions can offer for like those micro level questions, even answers to macro level challenges. So with that, I basically mean that with this labor shortages, we really try to come up with a system which is attractive for all of our employees. So the people don't want to go away. We wanted to start to be still competitive. But on the other hand, we didn't want to have hundreds of planners, which costs a lot. And we also wanted to be super efficient on that we actually meet our demand with the people who we actually also plan for. So with that, we try to minimize the risk that people are going away from us, and that's also the feedback we get. So the feedback we normally get in our reviews is really that people say they're happy that this is a flexible system and that they like to work with that. And now I want to also challenge yourself what's after this presentation now, because people planning is of course just one thing here. But if you now just think about it, and maybe we can also discuss it later in the table round, is basically what you would do if labor shortages would be or are maybe even a risk at your company. Would it be that you would also come up with some centralized solution, or would you completely go a different approach? So I would be super curious to just hear other opinions on that as well, because I think this is one approach which we went via this tech perspective, but I think there are also other ways on how you can handle that. And this also brings me to the end of the presentation, because I also have a nice quote, which I thought works quite well with this presentation, which is actually technology is just best when it brings people together. And I think this is really what we try to do as well, to not just come up with a fancy app. We really wanted to come up with an app which helps the business, but also the employees. Yes, thank you.